Hey everybody, welcome back to the DomainCast number 14. I know it's been a while, but we're here back at it again. I'm here joined today by my new co-host, AT, aka Aaron.
Yes, welcome. Glad I'm joined here with CivilSpider. You guys brought me in today to host. Glad we could bring in new guests, new content. That's what the year is about. So, CivilSpider, introduce yourself out there for all the people that don't know who you are and what you got going on.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys. Hi everyone. My name's Tony, but online I'm known as Civil Spider. I'm primarily a video editor and videographer, currently working on my own channel as well as working with a couple YouTubers, one primarily named Thomas Frank.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Um, we're just going to ask you some questions. We're going to have you respond to them so that people can get a little bit better idea about who Civil Spider is and what Civil Spider does. Sounds good?
Sounds good. Lay it on me.
All right, so first question we have is what's it like editing for Planet Dolan?
All right. So yeah, Planet Dolan actually was the first legitimate YouTube YouTuber slash business or however you want to describe it that I worked for. So working for Dolan was actually a really great experience because that led me to realize one that my skills that I did as a hobby could potentially lead to some sort of job slash income, as well as made me realize just how much I enjoyed doing it, regardless if it's for me or someone else. And then that's actually how I got known as Civil Spider working with Dolan because he picked up my name of me being known as Civil Spider, and he's like, "Oh, let's make that into a character, and we get to use it on the channel."
Okay.
Awesome.
And how exactly did you get hired there at Planet Dolan?
That one's actually a little funny because when I applied to Dolan, I literally came back from the gym. I had no idea who he was, what the channel was even about. I just found it. I saw on the I think they had like a job listing section, and I clicked on it, saw video editor, so I applied like just on a whim, and it took him all the way until August, and I applied in January to get back to me about that.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Timing
so
is
I
everything.
kind of got lucky then. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty lucky. Working with a big channel, obviously, it's got to be an honor, right? Working with the channel of that size.
Oh, it was an honor just to get a reply, and
Yeah.
the thing that was awesome about that was Dolan is actually the one that is responding to things. So it's not like he has like a secretary or someone else that I have to talk through. Like he right away will talk to you and tell you what it's about. And just knowing that you're talking to him personally kind of gives you like that personal feel like he cares enough that he will get back to you personally, not somebody else.
Right.
So moving on from that, I know you edit a lot of videos, man. I know you're an editor. What are some of the favorite types of videos you like to edit? Like what do you prefer to edit?
Oh man, that's a good question. Actually, that's the thing with me. So like when it comes to editing, there isn't a particular thing that I enjoy most. What I always enjoy in general is getting challenged to do something I haven't done, just kind of like
Uh,
to improve my craft. But if I had to, sincerely, the content I currently make with again, his name is Thomas Frank, with Tom,
hmm
as well as anything based on animation, because those two kind of relate to two things I love, which is challenging like videography that I have to do with Tom and cinematography, but then I love animation, so that gets to get tied in together.
Okay. And now, how did you initially get into editing and almost turn the corner where you could realize that it was almost more than a hobby?
Oh, actually, yeah, I actually love telling this part because I even see it a little inspiring to my own self. But basically, think of it like this: I was 16 and I was watching YouTube, and this is like when YouTube was still up and coming. You had a couple big people, and I
yeah,
was
about
watching
five
a video,
stars.
right? Yeah, and there was this guy that I watched back then named Kasim G. I don't know if he's still doing his thing nowadays, but he was big back then. And at 16, I was like, how is it that these people are making these videos? Like, is YouTube sending them a crew? Like, I
Yeah.
thought YouTube would send people whatever to do whatever they needed. And I realized, oh no, they're doing it themselves. So it wasn't until the age of 17 where I was like, all right, I want to make my own channel. I need to learn to edit. So I'm going to do it. And it wasn't from the age of 17 until the age of 23 that I was doing it for fun. And then I got hired to do my first wedding video. And it was at that moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to
Nice.
school for computer networking. That's not getting me anywhere. I don't even like it, but this hobby is already starting to pay off. So let's just go full head on it. And I'm about to be 26, and that's definitely my career choice as of today.
right?
Awesome. You know, as a I'm not as pro as you are when it comes to editing, obviously, but as an editor, you know that there's a lot of programs out there for us to use. Which one do you like to use the most? Like, which is your go-to, your big gun?
All right, my big guns right now are definitely Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects, hands down. For anyone that's learning, I did not pick up those two software until just 2 years ago when I started working with Thomas. Until
Mhm.
then, I was strictly using Sony Vegas Pro, and I've had literally almost every edition that was out there.
So you have like Sony 11, Sony 12, 13,
All of
14,
them, dude.
all of
Yeah.
them. Wow. We have a true hero of the Sony Vegas crew here today, folks. I
Wow.
myself, I'm a Sony Vegas guy. I mean, it's just one of those things here on YouTube. I think that whenever you click in, like, oh, what software should I use for my YouTube videos, like gaming stuff, like, oh, Sony Vegas, Sony Vegas.
hmm
It's just something you hear so much within the community. You really don't explore other avenues.
Oh, I agree. I mean, heck, I didn't even plan to explore any other avenues because I was so familiar with the software that like anything you can ask me to do, I can just mentally picture myself doing it, and I'll know right then and there, like, oh, I think I can accomplish that, or maybe I can't. So I definitely don't disregard Sony Vegas. So if anyone that's listening is interested in editing, Sony Vegas took me so far, and I'm sure it will for you too.
Awesome. You know, when it comes to Sony Vegas, I hear some people say it's limiting in some aspects. Now, me, I really only use Sony Vegas, so I can't really speak to that degree. Sybil, what's your take on that?
It's gonna vary. So one thing that I noticed was very limiting was when it comes to stuff like motion tracking, and I'm talking about like genuine motion tracking, meaning you have a point somewhere and the software would track it for you rather than you doing it manually. But one thing that I took away from it, from moving from Sony Vegas to Premiere, it wasn't even something that it was restricting.
Hmm.
There's definitely some aspects to that, but I feel what was more restricting was the fact that people still don't see it as professional grade software. Meaning, if you say you edit for Sony Vegas, some people will be like, "Oh, well, do you not know any better software?" It's like, what do you mean? Sony Vegas does a lot already.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like a little bit of a stigma, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say when it comes to Vegas though, the biggest downfall to my current work now, the only reason I couldn't definitely use it anymore is because of all the motion tracking and all the After Effects software, or all the After Effects
Hmm.
effects that I do. I just can't do that in Sony Vegas.
Makes sense.
So there's like for example, one of my favorite plugins ever for animation is Mr. Horse. That's what it's called.
Hmm.
I can't use that in Sony Vegas, and I use Mr. Horse so much that like it's now part of my workflow. So if I get it taken away, it's not a big deal, but it's also like I just lost a really good tool.
Yeah, yeah, like I feel you. Like it's become a part of your pipeline, and without that piece of equipment with you, kind of falls apart, right?
Exactly. It kind of hinders you, you know.
Now
Um,
you've touched about. Sorry, Leo, to cut you off,
oh, I
but
was actually going to say, At, you want to say something to Sybil?
yeah, Civil, you touched on your some of your newer works with Thomas Frank. How exactly did you link up with him and get started with all of that?
What Tom was, I think it was another half luck, half thanks to Planet Dolan here, and you'll see why. My friend Natalie is actually, she was a huge fan of his and watched him for years. I never even knew about Tom until Nat one day told me, hey, this guy I watch is hiring for an editor, and she knows my thing is always editing, so she knows I'm always looking for work. And I applied, and the only reason I got a response back from Tom was because I was the only one of all the people that applied that has already worked with another YouTuber. So he already knew that I already knew going in what he might be expecting.
Right, and that's important nowadays, obviously.
Obviously, yeah, it really is. One funny thing too is I was at the time technically not qualified to work for Tom because he was a heavy After Effects and Premiere user. And when I spoke to him originally, I told him that I only know Sony Vegas Pro. It's what I've used for years. But he was nice enough and told me that if I'm willing to learn, he would hire me. And I told him, like, dude, whatever you need me to learn, I'll learn. So I literally learned Premiere and After Effects in 1 month just so I can get this job.
And obviously, that again, that's one of those things that it takes almost to turn the corner and make it more than just a hobby. Is where if a client asks you to pick something up, you
Oh
almost have to.
yeah, you also need to take the initiative on that. So like not only did I learn for him, but I learned for myself because it was another way to prove myself. Like, is this really what you want? Like, are you willing to learn something
Right.
entirely new? And honestly, dude, that skill set and that mindset. And I don't like to boast myself too much, but like I am happy that I am someone that enjoys that kind of a challenge because that is also part of why I've gotten where I'm at now because I'm not willing to shy away from a challenge.
Sometimes you need that, not only just in your personal life, but also in work as well. So
Yep.
Oh
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Civil. Now, I know we're talking about brain fart, everybody. I know we've been talking about editing a lot, but what about games? What type of games do you play at all?
Ooh, oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one. So actually, what I'm playing a lot right now on my time when I can is Risk of Rain 2 and Pokemon Shield.
Risk of Rain. Now, tell me about that game. I haven't heard about it.
Oh man. Well, here's the thing. I didn't know about the first game because apparently it was a 2D platformer and like you can run around, shoot, and all this other stuff. But it wasn't until Tom was like, "Hey, let's play Risk of Rain 2." I never heard of it, and Risk of Rain 2 is a complete 180 from Risk of Rain 1, where you literally run around and let's say it's going to be on a time basis. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say for 5 minutes you're on easy mode. So enemies are coming at you. You have to kill them, grab some money, get some loot boxes. Hopefully, you get a good gun or not even a gun, an item. And after every couple minutes that pass, it's going to get progressively harder. And the goal is to make it either to level 7, so you can, as we say, kill yourself and get a skin out of that if you're on the most challenging mode, or just for bragging rights to say, yo, we went to 12 levels on insane, didn't die, we only died because of blah, blah, blah. Like, it's one of those games that it's going to slowly progress to get really hard, and I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at some screenshots on Google Images right now, and it looks like an interesting game. Definitely, I have to check it out sometime.
Oh, man, if you guys play and you guys are down, like, I'm so down to play with you guys. It would be so
When
fun.
did that come out?
Oof, I don't even know. It's technically still in beta, and they're still like just recently they updated it with a new patch that gave us new levels, new monsters, new items. But I don't know when exactly it came out.
Okay. Well, obviously the updates nowadays, again, the content and just giving people something new, a new challenge, as we talked about earlier, is kind of what keeps games alive. So
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I'm literally advocating here so much because I mean it. Like, if you guys are interested in that game, it will cost some money, but it's so worth it. It's so fun. I can't explain how many times me, Tom, and my roommate play it. It's so great.
Now, staying in the gaming topic. Now, we know you edit, but have you ever considered dabbling in game development at all, maybe, or offering your services to a studio, perhaps?
You know what? Yeah, I've always wanted to see what I can do with the skill set I have now into different areas. So one area always wanted was animation, but I already got some experience with that with Planet Dolan. Another one actually was with a gaming company. It didn't matter to me which one because you know how they always make trailers and such, and
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I
promotional
wonder
material.
what it exactly. And I wanted to know, like, could I get hired for that, or can I get challenged to do a trailer for any company and see if that can lead me anywhere. Like, I always wanted to do that.
It's always great to explore new avenues, and I don't know. I think you should go for it, man. Like, hit up some game companies. Maybe you can get a deal going on with somebody.
Oh, that would be a dream, man. Like, I have some editing goals, and it's not even to like work in a specific like business. It's just more like to say, yeah, I made an ad for like Bandai, or I worked with all the best people over there at like I don't know what's that one. There's one company I like. Oh, at like Square Enix or something. Like, I just want to be able to say I've done something in that area.
Now, currently, right now, I don't know if you signed a contract. So if you did, we respect that. You might not be able to talk about it, but are you still currently working with Planet Dolan at the moment, or are you taking on different customers right now?
Well, see, with Dolan, I like let's be real. Like, I'm not working with them anymore, and it's not even a thing that I got fired or anything. So I'm pretty sure I'd be okay with saying this. But like, I was originally more put on like a hold just because Dolan had to restructure some things,
All right.
and I just explored my own avenues after that. I said no hard feelings. If you need me, I'm here, and things have just picked up since then.
Aaron, you want to say anything to Civil?
and now you said things picked up, and you're talking about that more personally, or are you talking about Thomas's channel?
Oh yeah, it's for both. Like me and my channel, like I've always wanted to do tech videos, and it's not anything to say like that. Oh yeah, I'm this big YouTuber. Like I just always loved everything about tech and like teaching people about it. So I started pursuing that avenue, and then definitely Thomas is like full time with everything that we do.
Makes sense. And now I watched one of your earlier videos, and it was almost about the power of the mind and how creativity can kind of is almost that inner battle with yourself.
Oh,
And
yeah. I
and
remember that one.
yeah, and have you gotten a little bit better at doing that, like balancing the inner fight and creativity, or has it gone down? Has it struggled that with that still? What's the current
Uh,
situation?
no, when it comes to that topic, it really. Here's the thing: a lot of people now they think that I'm doing very well. They'll say, "Oh, I'm more successful, or I am a success because I'm working in the field that I've been striving for." But like, I don't feel that way every day. Like every day, I still feel like I still make mistakes. There'll be times where like I'll get feedback on the video so I can update whatever Tom is asking for. But like, there's days where even him just saying, "Hey, could we get this keyframe just a little slower?" I'll still feel bad about it because I'm like, why can't I just notice these mistakes so I don't make them? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
my mind is still struggling with, I know what to do. Why can't I do it right the first time? But I also need to remind myself, like, I'm human, man. I'm always going to make mistakes. I just got to get better at fixing them quicker so I don't slow anything else down.
And
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is, part of it. And obviously we live in an era now where everything is highly scrutinized and highly judged, so I think that plays a part. But once you get past it and kind of look at it as your own art and your own piece, that it's just all it matters. No one else really matters, you know what I mean? So that's the beauty of creating things. And I definitely salute you for putting out content and showcasing that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. And that's another part of, or another way to keep myself accountable to myself to never stop creating is obviously my own channel too. Like, okay, just because you're not doing something for Tom just for today doesn't mean there isn't something else you can make and keep
Right.
that, machine moving.
Definitely.
Now, Civil, are you a Pokemon fan by any chance?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm currently trying to finish my Pokédex and Shield.
Exactly what I was going to bring up. Are you playing Pokemon Sword or Pokemon Shield?
Yeah, I got Shield.
You
I was
got
so
Shield.
pumped when I got it.
Now, we have another guest here, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of the owners of Game Domain. Give it up for Jason, and he's a big Pokemon fan, and give it up for him.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
So, Jason, tell us about what do you like about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and maybe Civil can give his own opinions about it too. Maybe he doesn't like it, maybe he does.
Yeah, I think overall it's a pretty good game, but there's definitely a lot of flaws involved with it. Um, First of all, I mean, of course, the whole Pokedex thing with only including specific Pokemon, but now, of course, they're fixing that with the DLC that they just announced, just to get more money, and then they're gonna add 100 and something new Pokemon, I believe, from the old Pokedex, and also the Pokemon Home system. I think that's gonna be pretty good when they release that next month. But for the game itself that came out on release date, I think it's a very good game. It's a very fun Pokemon game. Definitely not one of my favorites in the series, but definitely a good addition. If I had to rank it, I'd probably say that I liked it more than I like Generation 6. Not as much as I did 7, so it probably would be my second on the bottom of the generations. But yeah, so I don't know if Civil Spider has anything to say about it.
No, actually, you said it pretty well. What I enjoyed the most in it was I've always wanted this kind of a feature that they finally implemented, which was having like an open field where you can see Pokemon, see the ones that
Yeah,
are
that
coming
was a good.
out, and you can find them. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Also, on that point, the one thing that I wasn't too happy about was they said that there was going to be a lot of drastic change, and that made it seem like it was going to be a lot less linear because Pokemon games have always been very linear. Somebody tells you to go to this gym, you beat that gym. Oh,
Hmm.
go fight the evil team here, then you go to that gym. So I was expecting this game to be a lot less linear, but in comparison to most of the other games in the series, I think it's just as linear, if not more than some of them. Very similar to how linear and directional and easy Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then the and Pokemon X and Y felt. So I think they didn't really improve that as much as they seemed they were going to.
No, actually, yeah, that was actually one thing I was talking to my brother about this because him and I are playing it as well as my sister, but him and I have been playing forever. And
Mhm.
another thing I was kind of iffy on was when it comes to that, like the storyline, I was really hoping because I explored so much of those open fields. I was like, maybe there's gonna be a cave that I can discover, and in that cave is gonna be a Pokemon that they purposely didn't announce because it's one of the like the new
Yeah.
legendaries we can catch. And I'm like, no, they didn't do any of that. I'm like, so the
Yeah.
open
Yeah. Like
field
there
was
was
just
only
kind of
the
like show.
yeah there was only the box legendaries, I believe. I don't think
Mm,
there's any other. There's only the
right.
box legendaries and then the one other one. I don't even remember the name that you catch during the storyline.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right at the end of the game, and I don't even. I think those are the only two legendaries included. So.
Yep, and I honestly was disappointed because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. So it wasn't until after I beat the game until I explored slash finally looked it up, and I'm like, really, not even an extra anywhere. Like
Yeah.
that disappointed me. And then my favorite thing though that they did in that game though is in terms of like the story was I did like that like I was able to get to the open field at some point, look around, capture as much Pokemon as I can. But then I love that in the Pokédex, they finally encourage you to complete it by saying, "Hey, you know these
Yeah.
four Pokemon are in this area. Why don't you
Yeah.
go try to catch
Suggesting
them?"
other Pokemon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
a
my
good one.
favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The game definitely had a lot of positives. It was definitely enjoyable, but I think the flaws, in a way, kind of outweigh the positive. Like I put down the game right after I beat it. There's no real post game involved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little bit of post game that the quest to get the legendary right after you beat the Elite Four, but well, not the Elite Four, the Pokemon League. I'm just used to saying Elite Four, but
Right.
I don't want to go into too much details for anybody who hasn't played the game. Don't want to spoil it, but yeah,
No, yeah, I agree. At this point, it's just now completing the decks. Like I did in the event where you can catch a shiny Gyarados or Magic Card to Gyarados. That's about it, though. At this point, I'm
yeah,
kind of like, once I complete the decks, I feel like I'm done. There's nothing else.
yeah. I did actually. I went through and completed the decks in Pokemon Let's Go, but I did not go through and complete it in Pokemon Shield yet. So
Gotcha. Well, yeah. So overall, I mean, I give it a solid maybe 6 or 7 out of 10.
yeah,
Just my favorite thing being, hey, there's finally an open field, and that's always what I wanted.
yeah.
Now, did you ever
I
play
salute.
some of the older Pokemon games, like Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness on the good old
Oh,
GameCube?
yes, that was
Yeah,
great.
those games were definitely.
Yeah, my
I
first game.
felt I
Oh, you
felt like
go.
this game felt almost just a updated graphics version of those games, the way it looked in Field, because I think they how they designed the graphics for Sword and Shield. It reminded me very much of like those old GameCube games,
Yeah.
and I
Mm.
think a lot of the criticisms out of where people are saying that the graphics, like you look at a game like Breath of the Wild and see how good those graphics are, Super Mario Odyssey, and then when you look at Sword and Shield, and when people are relating it to the old home console Pokemon games that were created in the early 2000s, that stems more criticism for Game Freak and their development team and not making the graphics as good as they should have been. But
Yeah, there's
it's
definitely
still a
been
spider and all.
controversy with like a lot of aspects of the new Pokemon games.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can see that definitely because since I played Coliseum, XD Gale of Darkness, like I didn't that didn't click in my head until you mentioned it just now. And I'm like, wait, yeah, you actually have a point. Like
yeah,
I see what's going on now. But I mean, I don't know. I guess Nintendo will always just try to present the game a certain way with a certain feel, which is why they probably use the same formula in a way when it comes to the
yeah,
graphics. But it would be nice for a change for once.
yeah. Like it almost felt like this game could have been released on the 3DS and it wouldn't have really seemed like that much
Oh,
of a difference.
you
But
said what my brother said, and I
yeah,
agree.
Yeah, I can see it running on 3DS too, Jason.
yeah. And then
No, I
hopefully
feel like
next
that.
year we'll get the Diamond and Pearl remakes that we've been waiting for years.
There we go.
So
Next year,
yeah,
that'll be the next podcast topic with Civil if we have him back again in Pearl. Civil, I've been on your channel, and I know I have a hunch, just a hunch, that you like technology. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right, and I know it sucks because I'm not even using a darn microphone because they're all hooked up to some gear that me and Tom are using. But yes, I promise I love technology.
Now, you have like really high quality when it comes to your videos, from what I'm seeing, man. Like the like just the quality in general, the way you present it. Like, have you ever thought of investing more time into going strictly as a tech channel, like sort of a Linus Tech Tips type of situation, or Austin Evans?
Mm. Well, actually, yeah. So my goal when it comes to the tech channel, because that is officially my side project that I've been working on for a while now. Whatever that first video I posted. My goal though is like I don't want to become kind of one of them. All I really want is to talk about stuff that's either interesting or something that I discovered that's new, but in a simplified way that like even my mom can understand.
Oh, I get you.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going into specs because not everyone's going to understand the amazingness that it is of having an OLED 1440p that's like 90 hertz. Like no one, not a lot of people are going to get it. Only the tech heads. My point is to say, hey, this is buttery smooth. Problem is, it might drain your battery a little bit more, but if you keep a black background, there you go. Like keeping it real simple and to the point.
No, yeah, I feel you. I think some channels, I think even for me, they go a little bit too techy for me. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
understand you. And I think sometimes you need a little bit of simplicity in life to understand some of the more complicated topics.
Oh yeah, dude. Like even now, right before we even got on here, I'm editing my next video, which is I don't mind sharing it. It's just a minimal way of using your Android phone using Nova Launcher. And some people one don't understand what a launcher is, so just break that down easily. And then also when I say minimal, it's just by using gestures. So again, this is a 2 minute video because I feel like I could easily just explain it in 2 minutes. There's no reason for me to drag it out any longer.
All right,
So
everybody, we
again,
have
that's the point.
another quick question here from Jason. Jason, go ahead, man.
All right, so CivilSpider, as somebody who's very techie, like you were just explaining, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Xbox or PlayStation? Because I know that a lot of people say that's the stupidest debate of the 21st century because you have millions of people arguing about something that doesn't really make any real impact on the world, just fulfills people's own
Their
egos
own
and whatnot.
ego.
Yeah. So what is your personal opinion? And then I'll voice my opinion.
Hashtag
Oh,
Ouya.
all right. So for sure, I will always and forever be more on the PlayStation side, only because as I was growing up, I played Kingdom Hearts for the very first time on the PlayStation, and that game has been part of my heart ever since then. The reason Xbox is secondary is only because of Halo. And Halo, as we all grew up, Halo 3 and 2 and 3 was like the games of the games back then. Uh,
Yes.
so to this day, I don't necessarily even play either because I'm more PC, but my heart is always going to go to PlayStation.
See, that's very funny because the story that you said, I'm almost the exact opposite, but on the Xbox side of things and with Halo, like you were just talking about. Of
Ah,
course, I
okay.
grew up with Xbox 360 and playing Halo and
Mm-hmm.
basically every Halo game came out, it was almost like a celebration. It was like a holiday of sorts when you drive to Best Buy and pick it up. And yeah, so definitely, yeah, I'm definitely on the Xbox side of things. And I was actually, I brought up the question because you were talking about the technology side of things. And then speaking of Halo, I actually never got Master Chief Collection for the Xbox, and it came out on PC, and a lot of my friends have been talking about it. So then it made me inclined to get it on the Xbox, and because I do prefer Xbox gaming over
Mm-hmm.
PC gaming, so I got it on the Xbox, and I have been playing through it. And I just beat Halo 1 last night, and now I'm on the fourth mission in Halo 2, and it just it reminds me of how great those games are, and definitely why I believe that Xbox is better because I feel bad for the people who have PlayStation but aren't able to enjoy Halo. But now it's great that they're putting it on PC because people like yourself who grew up playing PlayStation and didn't really, I mean, I don't know if you had an Xbox ever, but you grew up playing PlayStation and then now you have the opportunity to play Halo on the PC. So I think it's good that Microsoft is allowing that and making it cross-platform for everybody to enjoy and not just Xbox players.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, dude, I grew up. I owned PS1, 2, and then I actually didn't get a 3. I jumped to 4, and then when it comes to Xbox, I had a Xbox and a 360. Um, Growing up though, here's my view on consoles and PC, and for anyone that's like, I prefer one, and it's okay if you do. The way I see it is, get an Xbox if you like their exclusives. You get a PlayStation if you like their exclusives. If you don't, like people like me who don't really mind either on occasion, you go to PC. But the benefits of the consoles that I will always praise them for is when you buy a game, you know it's going to run on the system because it's coming for that system. When you buy a PC game, it's like, well, you need X amount of more RAM. You could look better with a better graphics card. You don't have to deal with a lot of the stigma you get because, like, oh, he doesn't have the best graphics card or the best motherboard to run, blah blah blah. Like, it's so minute in my opinion. Like, gaming is
Hmm.
gaming. However
Yeah.
you want to do
Yeah.
it,
However you want to
freaking
enjoy it.
play it, man.
True.
Yes. Definitely very true.
Mm-hmm. But I agree with you on the Halo thing, though. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. Leo, I don't know what you have for the next
Thank,
question.
no, thank you for your question, Jason.
All
As
right.
far as we look forward, as far as the next gen consoles as well, I mean, Xbox, PS4, both scheduled for release this year. What are your thoughts on that, as well as just plans, suggestions? What do you
Well,
think?
for me, I just want to get if look, I'm gonna be real. When I bought a PlayStation, when I bought my PS4 Pro, I bought a PS4 Pro. I bought a 4K TV only because Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally announced.
Right.
So that goes to show my loyalty again for Kingdom Hearts because I love that game. So when it comes to the next console and the next versions, like all I'm hoping is because I hear it, I don't know if you guys gotta tell me because I haven't read too much on this, but is it true that they said the PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible? Is that what they said?
I'm pretty sure
I'm not sure about the PlayStation, but I'm 95% sure that the
Xbox
Xbox
is.
Series X is going to be backwards compatible with Xbox One games. And I know they also said
Yeah.
in regards to the Xbox Series X that they are allowing they're gonna every Xbox exclusive is going to be produced for the Xbox One and Xbox Series X for anywhere from 1 to 2 years after the release of the new console this holiday season. So
Wow.
I don't know about PlayStation
I
though.
believe it was rumored that PlayStation's going to have backwards compatibility all the way to PS1, but that's just a rumor for now from what I see. I think the only thing that's more confirmed, I guess you could say, is that it's going to be backwards compatible with the PS4 games since it's running on the same architecture or something along those lines since they're both AMD at the current moment. But yeah, I think Xbox has a giant lead on PlayStation if they really do have all of that backwards compatibility and Sony only has one generation to go back on, kind of losing that battle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, just knowing that now makes me think like, huh, I actually still have a lot of old Xbox games. So I personally would be even more inclined to get the Xbox 10 at this point, even though I prefer PlayStation for that reason. So I don't know. I guess my mind is just more like whichever allows me to play the games that I love and the ones that I still have collected in my room, I would be more inclined to buy those than anything.
Yeah, and
I just
also,
have a
oh,
point.
go
I
ahead.
just yeah I just looked up right now about the Xbox backwards compatibility. This article is from right before Christmas, December 19th, and it has a quote from Phil Spencer of Xbox, who told GameSpot, we wanted to make sure we had that day one. We could deliver on the compatibility promise, and so I've been playing quite a few Xbox 360 games on my Xbox Series X and Xbox One games on the Xbox Series X. So that's definitely something that Xbox was looking to do from the beginning, because it had been rumored for a few years, but obviously we knew nothing about what, the working title was Project Scarlet. We didn't really know anything about it other than that it was rumored. And then it does say here that it's still a question as to how much backwards compatibility and if any the PS5 will have. So
Wow. Well, so far my wallet's leaning towards that one. That's for sure.
I mean,
it's
honestly,
gonna be
Wow.
$500. It's got to be leaning towards one way or the other. So it's a big decision.
it's got to go one
Yeah.
way eventually, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
At least Xboxes and PlayStations will be on sale sometimes, unlike Nintendo consoles, which never go on sale for anything. Because Breath of the Wild, I think, is still $60 if you go to Best Buy and try to buy it. It never goes on sale, even though it's been out for almost 3 years this March. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I guess I'll check with my group of boys that I play with, and heck, if they're like, "Yeah, we're probably gonna get the Xbox," and I'll be like, "All right, well, there you go.
I
There's
mean,
there's the group I'm gonna play with."
yeah, like one thing for sure though, when it comes to all these backwards compatibility rumors, is that if you have older games for, I don't know, Xbox 360, PS2, PS1, PS3, now's the time to keep a hold of those games. And if you don't have some of the classic games of those generations, go buy them right now, because I guarantee you, once these consoles come out, everyone's going to want to buy the original copies to play them on their shiny new machines.
Oh, easily people are gonna do that, especially games that are like even more already valued that they are. Like for example, imagine like me trying to find a crisp brand new Kingdom Hearts 2 disc is definitely gonna be a lot of money.
Prices are going to skyrocket. I mean, that's my theory. If you check eBay, I think in a couple years, it's going to get pretty hectic out there.
yeah, and also I like because when the Xbox One first came out, I remember one of my big questions about it was why can't you play Xbox 360 games on it?
Mm-hmm.
Then what I was told by people that I know is that, and I never realized this, but they opened my eyes to this, is that a lot of times when they make that switch over from console, you can get the Xbox 360 version of a game for cheaper than you can get the Xbox One version of the game. So then people could just buy the Xbox 360 version because it's cheaper and then just stick it into the Xbox One, and it would play a little bit worse. But if you're saving $20 or maybe even $30, depending on how big a sale is or a price difference, for some people who can't afford to buy every game for $60, that's probably worth it to them. So,
Definitely.
but definitely with this game, I'm sure I'm assuming the Xbox Series X to Xbox One, you know, gameplay and graphic style is going to be. I mean, it's a 7-year difference basically, because I think the Xbox One came out in 2013 or 2014. I don't remember exactly. So it's a 6-7 year difference. So I'm sure the graphics and everything, the specs of the Xbox Series X is going to be much higher than the Xbox One, because a lot of people are saying that it's going to be better than probably 95% of the gaming PCs on the market. So, and unless you want to spend $2,000 on a gaming PC, it might make more sense to buy an Xbox Series X, because that's one of the other problems with all these that the console companies are seeing, is that a lot of people are just buying really good gaming computers and building them themselves, buying parts for really good gaming computers and building them themselves for only like $500-$600, and they run almost twice as good as an Xbox One, which you have to buy for $300 if it's not on sale. So a lot of people are more inclined to go the PC gaming route, because you're spending a little bit more money for twice, for games that run twice as good. So definitely the Xbox Series X hopefully will be able to compete with PC gaming.
Actually, yeah, that's a very, very valid point. And I say that too because as someone that grew up only playing consoles until I was, I think, 17 or 18 when I got my first like official built computer, and even then learning about computers helped me understand more on what I'm purchasing. So that's why when it comes to consoles, I'm not one of those like smug guys that's like, well, you're paying 500 but can't even run 38 frames per second. Like, I don't care, dude. If you're enjoying the game, that's great. And I encourage you to do that. But I also agree, like, I hope for once the consoles can understand, like, you can build so much technically in a computer than you get in the console. So it's like, why not take that kind of like mentality of it and stick it into a console? Because a lot of people like don't understand that they're buying sometimes lesser hardware, so to speak. But if they're like, hey, this runs just as good as a computer and they actually have the specs to back it up, hell, even I would buy it just because I know I'm finally getting a really good value for my money in a console.
And I mean,
So
obviously, technology and everything's become more accessible, cheaper. So it's more reasonable and possible nowadays to do what you're saying.
oh, easily, yes.
So I definitely will. All we'll have to do is really wait and see what the end of the year holds. What are your exact kind of plans for the rest of the year? Kind of goals, anything like that?
Actually, mines are pretty simple, but pretty. They're still gonna require some work. I want to get my channel to 30K. Not not anything for like bragging rights. Just I'm just hoping it's just a goal. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I want to visit Hawaii, which is kind of random because I'm not one to travel, but because in the position I'm at now, I want to at least give myself that one break. And if I'm gonna take a break, because I'm someone that honestly just doesn't like to take a break, and that's bad. I want to make it at least worth it and not feel so bad about it. So I want to see if I can travel there. But the big one, guys, is just work. Like, I don't know. My mentality is always if I'm awake and if my body allows it, I want to keep working on the things I love. And that's what I'll keep pushing for the rest of the year.
Nothing wrong with being busy, man. I definitely understand that. Definitely get that. You definitely need vacation time, though. Definitely consider that. It help. As far as my creative experience, every time I've went on vacation, it definitely enhances the creativity side of things. So I would definitely encourage going anywhere and just traveling. Definitely one of the joys of life, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll even put in perspective, guys. And for anyone that's listening, like, I'm not one to travel. Like, I'm really not. And I get this from my father because he rarely takes a break ever. But, like, I've traveled more, which is only traveling once last year, than I did literally in the whole 25 years that I've lived. Like, it's worth it now. And I get the idea now of taking a break and going somewhere different to kind of refresh your mind and your creativity.
Definitely well worth it. Like I said, man. You also touched on a little bit on your channel the power of kind of communication and just conversation, and almost what we're doing right now with just the therapeutic aspect of this podcast and how important it is now. What does communication play in like your daily work, just daily life?
Oh man, communication honestly to me is crucial, whether it's work, my life, relationships, anything, because if there's anything I learned, especially in this field that I work in, which is again being a video editor for anyone that needs it, if you don't communicate well, people are going to misunderstand things. People are going to take things the wrong way. You're going to get into arguments. You're going to lose money. They're going to lose money because they paying you for something that they didn't even want. And it's like, well, you didn't communicate that correctly. So I would say stuff like podcasts, even getting on this now, and I know we've been trying to set this up for quite a while. Um, Even now, like me just knowing like I'm doing nothing but just relaxing, talking about games, talking about editing with, what I would say some new friends, it's very nice. And being able to finally speak a little bit on it and not keep things bottled up is very nice. It's kind of refreshing to talk to some other people.
Definitely get that, man. I definitely understand. Leo, did you have anything for us?
Yeah. Civil, we've talked about a lot of things, about you a lot, but for the viewers watching who might be aspiring editors, I see you guys watching. I see you. What type of advice do you have for them? Like, not to get discouraged when taking low-paying jobs, or how to get themselves out there via promotions, stuff like that, or just tips in general.
Yeah. Oh, I actually have a few. And this is something me and Tom have been talking about to see how we can make this into a video. But what okay, what I will say for sure is this. So one, I am a college dropout, and I don't care anymore about the stigma that attaches to that. But I dropped out because my hobby, like I said, was something that I didn't realize could be a job until I finally put the effort in it. So one tip would be, if there's something you like sincerely, I'm not saying go out full force, quit all your jobs, quit school, and do that. I'm just saying don't ever lose sight of it and don't ever stop doing it just because you are occupied with other things. Like, keep it in the back pocket, man, because you never know if someone's gonna be like, "Yo, that pottery you do, kind of random. I like it though. How much for a pot?" Like, that's a start of something. The second thing I would say is, if you're definitely putting yourself out there in any creative work, never, because I got bit in the butt too many times with this. Never do free work, in the sense of, if someone or more people just keep saying exposure, 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 exposure will not pay any of your bills, and exposure will not pay you food or anything that you need. What I'm saying in this sense is, feel free to do paid or free like jobs or gigs, whatever, on your terms. Meaning, it's going to be free unless this happens not by their terms. I've gotten bit in the butt where a company, and I told them up front, to do this X amount of work that they were asking me, I needed $2,000 to cover all the work and the time I was doing. And then when I finally delivered, they only wanted to pay me 200.
Wow.
And that wasn't what we agreed to. But because I was new and I'm like, well, maybe I wasn't charging too much and whatever, I accepted it like an idiot. And to this day, I really regret it, because I allowed someone else to change my terms, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
So,
that's really scummy of them, of what they did. Like, they only
oh
offered
yeah,
200. Like, come on, that's not what we agreed on, fellas.
exactly. And that's why now I don't take anything, or I don't do any work until I'm paid up front. And if they're like, well, how can we make sure you'll deliver? I say, well, how can I can say the same thing about you? Like, how do I know after all this work you're not going to pay me? Like, there has to be an
Yeah.
agreement somewhere. So, and that goes back to communication. Be very strict and be very verbal and to the point of what you're asking for.
Now, would you recommend doing any contracts per se, or is that a little bit too far, do you think?
No, I mean, the contract's good, yeah, but if you if you're new to it, definitely have someone else read it. It can literally be just a best friend, because a fresh set of eyes is always well needed.
Definitely.
But I would say try to avoid contracts. Go more for agreements. It can even be a side agreement. And when I say agreement, it's literally just on paper. It just says we agree that blah blah blah. A contract, member, a contract is legal. Once you sign it, you are tied to it for whatever it is that you agree to. Yeah, exactly. So avoid contracts. Go for agreements. I know it might sound silly, but to me, there is a difference.
Now, I'm sure you know about Upwork and Fiverr, those types of
Mhm.
sites. Would you recommend a young editor to go on there and get some skills on there? Test the waters, get some experience, so to say.
Yeah. Oh man, anything, like any way to get work is always good. Like, for example, one thing that I did, and I did this even before Dolan, was I literally would message people on Twitter, and I'm talking about message. Like, I spent hours just messaging random people that I saw could potentially need an editor.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, hey, here are my skills. Here's an example of a video. If you like me, get a hold of me, and we'll go from there. anything that could lead to a potential job is going to be worth it, because remember, you're at least shooting your shot 1,000 times, and hopefully one of those will land.
You know, funny enough, there is a YouTube channel. He goes by Beat 'em Ups. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. His name is Wood. He was actually looking for an editor a couple ago, and I feel dumb for not telling you about that earlier.
Oh, that's fine, man. I mean, and even nowadays, it depends on what is required of me and how much they'll need. Only then will I really accept the job right now.
Mhm.
Like, I want to keep myself available, but actually, for example, and this goes back to another one of those, do the work on your terms type deal.
Yeah,
There was a guy who messaged me. He wanted me to, I think it was like to make 10 videos a month, but could only pay me $40.
just for the 10.
Yeah, $40, like a flat $40 for 10 videos. And I'm like, that doesn't cover like anything. That doesn't cover all the time that's going to be put into it, all the rendering time, the edits, the times we have to communicate. And that goes back to me saying, accept the job on your terms, because no offense, but I get paid so much more than $40 that's
No,
just
yeah.
kind of lowballing me at this point.
Yeah, and like I take it maybe was it a bigger channel by any chance, a medium-sized channel, or like what type of channel size was he?
He was still up and coming,
Oh,
you
okay,
know?
okay.
Yeah. And like even then, like even with your channel though, and I've seen your stuff,
Mhm.
like because I know you guys and I'm comfortable, I honestly would make a video, because I see this as a challenge for myself and be like, oh, this looks like fun. This will test my After Effects more, and maybe I'll learn in the process. Now that's me doing free work, but that's because I actually want to do it.
Yeah, because it's on your own
You know
terms.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then that's when I'll be like, hey, I'll do it. Here are my terms. What do you think? And then we go to the communication part.
Yeah,
So.
obviously, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like oof, another brain fart, fellas. My apologies.
It happens.
Yes, back to the techie stuff. I know we talked about software a little bit earlier, but how about hardware? What are you running with today? What's your gear? What do you use?
Ooh, okay. Oh, this is fun. So, all right, actually made a video on this. If you guys are interested, you can see some of my quick carries on my channel. But
We'll
when
link
it
them
comes to
in
hardware,
the description. These quick queries.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when it comes to gear, when it comes to, and I'm gonna talk about stuff that I actually use for work every day. So for example, my phone, I own two phones. I own an iPhone 11 Pro and I own a Galaxy Note 10 Plus.
Ooh.
I have two for different reasons. I'm making videos on each of them as we speak. And then when it comes to computers, I actually own a custom built desktop that, I'm not saying this to brag, it's just showing how much I invest in what I do. My desktop is worth 3K. And that is so I can definitely edit 4K, maybe up to 6K videos. Rendering times are really fast. I have, graphics, a really good graphics card, because I occasionally game, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to my laptop, I have a MacBook Pro 2018 that is again spec'd out, but that's mainly for video editing purposes.
You do not mess around, my friend. That's for sure. You have a lot of good gear with you.
Yeah, like I said, like I invest in what I do because what I love. So
Yeah, like if you're gonna do something you love, and you want to make money off of it too, you better have some decent gear. Especially if you're starting to climb the ladder and get bigger and bigger projects, and you're evolving your skill set too. Because like I'm gonna use this comparison, although it's pretty dumb. Like you can take a Formula One driver, put him on the hunt, and some people say you can get a Formula One driver or a NASCAR driver. If you're from the Americas like me, and you can put him like in an F1 car, top of the line, right? That's where he's gonna get the best performance. That's what he was made to do. It's top of the line racing. If you put him in a Honda Civic with a little four banger, he's gonna struggle a little bit against others, right? So I think skill and gear have to work in unison with each other.
Oh yeah. Let's put this in perspective, guys. I started with a computer that my brother bought before I even knew much about computers. And when I rendered videos, I had to leave them rendering overnight because they took 8 to 9 hours to render.
Oof,
And
I
that was,
feel that, man. I feel that. I remember.
yeah,
I had
it was brutal.
2 gigabytes of RAM on my old Toshiba satellite laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible stuff, man. Like
Struggle.
Yeah, it is. And
I
that's the
think
thing, like having tech like that, even though it may hinder you, it's still up to me to make the use of that equipment, though.
exactly.
Very true. I think a lot of what we touched on, Civil, the direction of the conversation is going is almost knowing your worth and knowing your value. And most of it, what you do, it sounds like it's self-taught. can you talk about like what it took, almost the trial and error of what it took to get where you are being self-taught?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's one big thing I advocate. Like I mentioned, I dropped out of college for this, and that's because I'm big on self-taught slash self investment. So investing in myself, meaning since I'm someone that naturally does like to learn, if there's anything I don't know, I'm actually curious in it, I will learn it. The
Right.
reason I say that's a big benefit is because that is literally what got me here today. So for anyone that's out there, again, if you're looking for anything in the creative field, learn it on your own, learn it on YouTube, learn it on Skillshare. Like there's a lot of like places that you can learn things, because the knowledge that you gain there and then the experience that you can gain in the real world, even like for example, if Game Domain, if you guys were like looking to have someone to help edit a video, and if this is going to be a person that's listening's first time doing After Effects or doing a video like this, that knowledge alone, I promise, will carry you so far. That just being self-taught really encompasses me as a person, and I would love to help people realize that you don't need to go to school necessarily for everything, but it's up to you. No one's gonna haggle you to do this. No one's waking you up at 6 a.m. to say, "Hey, go practice that thing you want to practice for 2 hours." Like you have to have that drive in you, and if you do, I promise you, having drive, being self-taught, learning something on your own terms is gonna get you pretty far, depending how serious you take it.
Very true. I mean, again, you talked a lot about just this living on your own terms, and I think that's very crucial in this new era that we live in to try to get to that point, especially as a creative.
Most definitely. All right, everybody. We have another guest here from the Game Domain channel. Give it up for one of the owners of Game Domain. So the head honchos here, everybody. Give it up for Domain
Whoa.
76.
Yeah, so I've been listening to most of the podcasts. I haven't been able to talk since I've just been going around organizing things. And I heard you talking about your goals for the channel to reach 30K subs. And some of the questions I wanted to ask you are you going to do any promotion to do that? Do you plan on doing collabs to gain more exposure? Or like, what are some of your plans to grow your channel?
Oh, I'm actually really glad you asked that, because not too long ago, one of my friends asked me the same thing. Here's the thing. I know I have some background with my name, meaning people know me from Planet Dolan. Some people are discovering me through Thomas Frank. When it comes to doing collabs and such to get my channel to where I want it to be, I kind of don't, I really hope that I don't need to do something like that, because it's a test to myself to see if my own content without using someone else's name in it, like if I'm good enough to do that. So I want it to be purely my own skill, my own content, until I'll be like, okay, there's my goal. Now let's see if Tom wants to do a tech video with me, because people are definitely going to click because of his name, but I don't want to use him in that sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I've been on YouTube for over 4 years at this point, and only really in the past less than 2 years or so is when the channel's really grown a lot. The first 2 years, I got about 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, and really wasn't until November 2018 where I reached 10K subs, and then the channel really started to grow from there. And the videos that really got the channel popular aren't the videos that I really wanted everyone to see. The videos were fine by themselves, but there was, in my opinion, they were just very basic videos. It was you might have seen it on your recommended. It's called like all Xbox and PlayStation startups.
I actually did, yes.
Yeah, so I've had so many people come up to me and say, I'm not even subscribed to your channel. I've never watched your videos, but on my recommended, I saw your video. And once again, the video is fine. It's just all the startups for these consoles, but it's not that unique of a video. And that's really what propelled my channel to get popular. And while I'm grateful for that, it's really about luck on YouTube. Like what video just gets shown around, so you get popular. Like I have a lot of videos that I'm like really proud of are on the channel because of the quality of them. And a lot of them only get maybe 1,000, 2,000 views compared to videos that get millions of views. And something like that, it can be like very discouraging when you're trying to make this great content and then you have a few other videos from a couple of years ago that aren't as good that are getting more views. So I know that's something very discouraging. So if you had an issue with that, and how have you dealt with it if that has happened to you?
Honestly, to a point, yeah. So one video that I've made that's tech related literally is my very first one, or not my very first one, but anyway, was the one I made about the Galaxy Note 10. I reviewed the Samsung's Note app, in that. I wasn't reviewing the phone. I wasn't reviewing anything about the hardware. I just wanted to talk about the app. And for some reason, that video is still my number one most viewed in terms of my recent uploads, and it's still to this day getting more views than the other ones. And it also has the most dislikes, and I think it's because one, maybe my message wasn't clear, but and that's the thing that I don't like. It's like, why is the one video that I do not like the most right now is the one that is getting all these views? Because now I feel like it's putting me in a negative light of where I want the channel to be. If that
I
makes
know.
sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like when a video that's maybe controversial gets popular and people are pretty divided on it, or when
Mhm.
people see an older video that you don't want to private the video because the video itself isn't that bad or you want to keep it up, and people judge your channel from an old video. Like that's something I've noticed a lot, and it's pretty frustrating when someone completely judges your entire channel from an old video, not just the video itself, but they're like, this channel's really bad, this video is low quality. And if they took 2 minutes out of their life to just see that there's newer videos and the video's 2 or 3 years old, they would see that the channel isn't bad anymore. And there's a lot of things on that too that really do discourage a lot of creators that I know. I've been on a lot of subreddits where YouTubers share similar issues, and it's something I think as your channel progresses, it's something you recognize less and less because as your name gets out there, you have to deal with less issues.
Oh yeah, like, and I don't think he'll mind me sharing this because he's pretty like honest about this. But like, even with Tom, like the guy I work with right now, there's even videos on his channel where like he isn't very either like he took so much time. For example, on one video that he made about water slash hydration and how that affects your life, your work, and everything. He spent so much time researching, editing it, try to make it as best as he can, and it's still one of his most lower viewed videos. And a video that he said didn't take him as long, he kind of felt rushed on it, is still one of his best ones. And that goes to show like it doesn't always necessarily depend on how much effort you put in a video. Sometimes it's literally just YouTube, the algorithm, luck, everything that encompasses it that'll get it out there.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people share the same thought. Like I don't know if Jason's still here, but Jason has spent a lot of time writing certain scripts, put in a lot of research, a lot of effort, only for the video to not do that well.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
just
Alex, I did actually want to talk about that. And with what Alex was saying before about how the startups video has so many views, and then we look at like there's so many of them that I've put a lot of work into, and the editors and the voice actors and so much work has gone into them and such big videos that like 33 Crazy Nintendo Facts is one of like our personal favorite series. It's very fun and interesting to make, but those videos sometimes get only like a few hundred views, or the one that got the most has 4.3 thousand views, but yet the startup one will get over 1 million views. And then even but then the one exception to that is like the ranking the Legend of Zelda games video that we did over the June of 2018. That has 340,000 views right now. Now I love Zelda as a whole franchise, and I put a lot of passion into that script, and I'm very happy as to how well it's turned out. But then it also falls in line with what Alex was saying about how people looking at an old video and pointing out flaws in the channel. When that video was created, we probably had around 6,000, 7,000 subscribers when that video was created, and there's a lot of there's a lot of voice acting and some script mistakes in there and some editing mistakes. And people, since that video is still popular and it gets like a few hundred views each day, even now, and there were times when it was getting 1,000 views each day, it gets ridiculed in the comments for the voice actor saying Windwalker instead of Wind Waker. And that's
Mhm.
just that one little thing probably fills up half the comment sections, and people just don't decide to look past that or don't decide to look to other videos, and they're saying, oh, this video is horrible, I'm disliking it, or oh, I'm not going to
well,
subscribe to your channel, or oh, I'm going to
something else is
unsubscribe.
they're like, oh, because the voiceover guy made a minor mistake, which I'm pretty sure everyone can relate Windwalker to Wind Waker and just realize it was a mistake. They're like, clearly this guy did no research. When if they just looked
Yeah.
in comments, they'd see it's the voiceover guy. I don't know if he played Zelda. Maybe he did. Maybe he just made a mistake. And
Yeah.
people really love to forget if you forget something. I mean, I say forget. They like to comment if you forget something in the comments. Like even on the startups video with like 7 million views, everyone's like, "Forgot one S, you forgot one S." All of this one. In reality, there is no original Xbox One S startup, so that's why it's not in. And I've just responded to so many comments about this because it's frustrating.
And
I don't know if
I
you have something on your channel
I
personally like this.
I just have one thing to add about what Silver Spider was saying before. Silver Spider, you were talking about almost wanting to make a name for yourself, right? Not building and not creating a channel and building success off of just saying, oh, I used to work with blank. Oh, I used to work with so and so. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a YouTube channel that I've been watching for a few years. I don't know if anybody else watches it. They have around 600,000 subscribers. It's called Collider Videos. The first video I watched of theirs was their Star Wars: The Force Awakens review back in 2015, in December 2015 when it came out, when they had less than 100,000 subscribers. And I watched that review, and then I subscribed to the channel, and I followed them ever since. Very recently, they basically they do a lot of it's a movie review and movie pundit channel, and basically they have shows daily that are like not really podcasts, but they're almost like live TV shows that are on. Each of them are basically 2 hours, and they're all basically talk shows with panels, and they discuss movies. Some of them discuss movies. Some they have their own Star Wars show. They had their own Marvel's, Game of Thrones shows, stuff like that, where they just do 2 hour long sit down in a panel with a bunch of people, and they're all obviously very passionate with what they do and everything. And there was a big controversy about a week and a half ago where the owner of the channel completely like changed directions. Who he bought the channel over a year ago, and a lot of people left. A lot of the bigger names like Christian Harloff and John Campia, who now have their own channels with over like 200,000 subscribers and then 600,000 subscribers. They kind of went down their own path because they didn't like what this owner was doing. Now, this owner just went through and completely changed the direction of the channel and fired almost half of their staff, who people have grown to love and related with because they've been watching them for years as the hosts of their favorite shows on YouTube. And so then now all of those, and what you were saying about how you're creating your own identity, and I was relating it to this Collider Video situation because all of these workers like Mark Riley and Ken Knapsack, they're going and John Roca, they're going and creating their own YouTube channels, and within 2 days they get 10,000 subscribers. And so then they're on other shows that I watch, and they're saying, I love the support, but I want to make, and they exactly what you were saying, they want to make names for themselves. They don't want to just say, oh, come subscribe to me because I was the guy you watched on Collider Videos. They want to say, come subscribe to me because if I do unique content and I love talking about movies and what I'm passionate about. So I just wanted to add that just to relate to what you were saying before on that topic.
No, that's actually really good to bring up. Yeah. Because I even know some other creators who I've talked to in the past. I didn't necessarily work with them too much, but I know, like, for example, there's this one guy who used to be an esports player, and I'm not going to say his name because I do think this is kind of confidential, so I'll make it pretty vague. But like a lot of people, when he left a team he was playing on, they kind of didn't want to really watch him / associate with him because he wasn't no longer part of the team. So it kind of showed like they cared more about the team than they cared about him. Mm-hmm. And then even now, if someone's like, "Oh, hey, I remember you from Planet Dolan," I'm like, "Cool. I hope you stick around though, but I'm not making animation stuff. Like I'm doing tech because that's what I like, and that's what I'm hoping they stay for is like for that because it validates my like." It validates how I feel as a creative and how I want to express what I do. And then it validates, even though I may be known somewhere else, they can still subscribe to me now because they actually like me now, not just CivilSpider from Planet Dolan.
Yeah, I think it's good to build your identity on the platform, like build your own base, like not like I'm pretty sure you've seen this before. People always like to use some of the bigger YouTube channels names in their titles, like PewDiePie scandal, or is PewDiePie wrong, or stuff like that in order to gain more views in their videos. And also, real quick before I forget, could you link me that water video you brought up earlier about water hydration?
Oh yeah, actually, I'll do that right now.
It's important to stay healthy, everybody, because hey, I mean, all it takes is one bad antibiotic and you end up like me. I'm just saying.
No, jeez. Yeah, actually, I got it almost right here. One sec. There was something I was trying to say earlier, and I think I might have lost it, which stinks. But I'm trying to remember what it was. Because what was it that we were talking about right before? We talked about creating a name, putting in time, and then it was also like videos that don't
tech?
do as well.
Was it tech maybe?
Oh man, I don't know. It stinks that it just left my head, but it's alright. If I think of it, I'll bring it up. Oh yeah, here it is. So now I'm just saying. So the views for this video, if you guys want to look it up. It's just called "How Much Water Should You Really Be Drinking?" Feel free to look it up. And by no means, it has 132,000. And I know some of you be like, "Oh, that's not bad," But again, it's not that. It's not that the view count sucked. It's just more that Tom felt that he felt because of all the effort he put, he thought it would have been even bigger. I'm not saying he's disappointed with it. It's just one of those things where, again, as a creative, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a lot more views because you put more time into something.
Yeah, like Domain brought up earlier, and Jason, like, yeah, some of our more heavily invested videos that we have time into them, like editors spent a long time doing them, the voice talent spent their work doing that. All of it comes together, guys. Like, it's not just a one-man show here. There's a lot of people, a lot of gears in the cog, so to say, a lot of gears in the machine working together and working in unison in order to make the final product. It's not just one guy with a movie maker in like some corner doing everything. No, yeah, the compilation videos we have for the startups and stuff of that nature are great views wise, but I really am disappointed that they don't the majority of those people don't stick around and see the other stuff we have on Game Domain. Like, one of my favorite videos was the Gran Turismo documentary that we have on the channel. I think that was a beautifully put together piece of artwork, I guess you could say. Great documentary, and if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. And it was so good, in fact, I ended up buying Gran Turismo 4 the day later. So, yeah.
And also about that, like a little bit of promotion. We're actually working on like revamping that documentary since so many people liked it, and we're just fixing some of the issues with it. Obviously, updating the voiceover, updating the editing, and just adding more info into the scripts. Like, because we looked in the comments and saw like a lot of very good comments that were a little critical, but definitely helped. They were like, you could have included this, and we're looking to include that in the new documentary.
Oh, heck, I'll even watch it. Keep me in the loop with that. Oh my gosh, I actually remember now. What was it? It was because earlier we also mentioned how about the whole like you make a mistake in one thing and you kind of get like criticized for it forever kind of thing, or for a long time people don't forget your mistakes. Actually, funny enough, the very first video I ever appeared on camera with Tom was not too long ago, and I made the error. And I don't know where my head was because like I know this, but it happens sometimes. Like I remember it was an iPad note taking video, and I said that the iPad that Tom had an OLED display when I know darn well it has an IPS display. But people in the comment section did not let me forget that, so I just stopped looking at the comments because at some point I'm like, whatever. Like I already know I made the error. I see what I did. But the sucky thing is now I also have in the back of my head that I'm worried because since I am trying to make like my own name and such, I'm like, I really hope people now don't watch my tech stuff because of one mistake that I did.
Yeah, people can be very savage when it comes to tiny mistakes in videos. Like, you mispronounce Wind Waker, blah, blah, blah. He called it water.
Yeah.
He's not a real gamer, blah, blah, blah. Or, like, the IPS panel and the OLED thing, like you were talking about. Like, oh, he got it wrong. Oh, it's a terrible channel. It's like, guys, come on. It's just a little brain fart. It's not going to hurt you, really. So get over it. Come on.
Exactly. Like, watch the rest, and I'm pretty sure you'll see. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Just mistakes can happen. Get over it.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
And something else with that is that I know like your channel is just primarily you, and a lot of other channels are, but at Game Domain, where obviously there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of people working on different videos. Someone editing a video is not going to know like every single game that's involved. Like Jason, when he writes, like he usually writes on games he's more passionate about and knows more, so he doesn't make as many mistakes. But let's say an editor just hears something about a specific game in a series, and they don't know much about the series, so they put gameplay from the wrong game. And then people in the comments say, since you put the wrong gameplay up, that must mean you have no idea what you're talking about. And something like that is, I feel like we have to clarify in a lot of videos that it's not one person making the video. If someone makes a mistake, it doesn't mean that the video is completely incorrect. It just means it could be a vocal mistake or an editing mistake. And that's something that I don't know why it needs to be brought up as much as it does, but it's always something that's been in the comments for these types of videos.
Yeah, and again, knowing creators that are way much bigger than myself, like I already know, like from their own mouth, that they tell me like how much sometimes that does affect them, and how some of them are like, I can just brush it off, but deep down it's kind of like like I really got to deal with this now. Like it was one flaw, and that's the thing about the internet, man. It's like everyone expects perfectionism. No one wants you to make a mistake in order to validate that you know what you're talking about. And it's like, no, dude, like accidents happen. I've been editing for nearly 10 years of my life, and that does not take away the fact that I still have 8 years or almost 9 years of editing experience. And if I make one flaw, that doesn't dictate my whole career. It's just, hey, you made a flaw, let's fix it, move on.
Yeah, like I think people are so uh I I don't have the word with it, but people are so like into high quality like perfect stuff like oh look at this like 8K B-roll, all these nice graphics and stuff. He speaks so perfectly. The mic quality is like 700,000p whatever, dumb stuff like that when they see something more down to earth, like smaller channels getting started or people that just don't have that $100,000 gear with them, they automatically assume like, oh, it's a garbage channel sometimes, and that's not the case, guys. That's not the case at all. Like you really need to get beyond that thinking and get into another form of thinking.
And that's something else.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's something else. Like obviously, a channel with 10 million subs, you'd expect better content out of them than a channel with 10K subs. And that's something people do often. They say since your video wasn't as good as this channel, then that somehow makes your channel completely inferior to the other. And a lot of times your video could be better. It just might be maybe the other voiceover was a little better, maybe the editing was sharper. But it really comes down to the content, which I notice is better on a lot of smaller channels than channels like Watch Mojo or a lot of channels like that just are basically content farms at this point. And they have some decent videos, but it's just a nice voiceover with some nice editing, and people seem to flock to that more than a smaller channel that may not have voiceovers comparable to them or editing comparable to them, and they diminish the quality of that just for that reason.
Oh yeah, like dude, even with mine, because I have gotten 2 messages on Twitter asking me, one, somebody asked me about tech, and the second one was like, oh hey, like how can you afford all this gear? Like you only have 12K subs. Like what do you do on the side? Like he basically wanted me to confide in him and tell him everything, and I'm like, that's silly. But I also tell him too, like, listen, like I've been real, and I've been real since the very first tech video I made. None of what I'm using, aside from the actual tech that I've purchased, which is my cell phone, computer, and my computers, I mean, they're not mine. They're Tom's. I'm just in the sense of like I am lucky enough that I get to use his equipment, but that doesn't take away the fact that the creativeness that I have, meaning every tech video or every video I made prior to my tech one, that was just from my gear, and that still didn't stop me from making stuff. The only difference I got is that I've been fortunate to work with Tom, that he also is pushing me, and having a friend that also does this to say, hey, don't give up, man. Like if you want, use what I got, or if you need some advice, I got you. And I think that alone, guys, is the most Tom has given me. Not the gear, it's just literally him encouraging me to do this.
And sometimes, honestly, that's all you need is that inspiration, that extra motivation as well. So I definitely get where you're coming from. Do you think with all that you have going on that you can almost push to that next level and break and almost get to a level where Tom's at, or do you just want to stay at that 30K kind of mid-range size?
I just want to get whatever the universe thinks I deserves, and then just go from there. So if at one point my channel just cannot break 100K, let's say I'm fortunate enough to get 100K, then okay, I got 100K. That's not gonna stop me from creating. But the only thing I really hope to get out of YouTube is just to show people how serious I am about whether it be editing or tech. That heck, if I don't get to create my own brand, hey, I can still help a lot of other people, which actually gives me a more sense of purpose than creating for myself, if I'm entirely honest here. Like, right. I like knowing that Tom needs me a lot more than me saying, oh, I got a video I got to make for myself. Just because it makes me feel better that my skills are good enough that someone can pay me for it, and I get to get them something that they couldn't do themselves.
Yeah.
And then another thing I see with a lot of small channels, what a big concern is monetization. So I know, I assume you have more than, I think it's 4,000 hours of watch time, right?
Oh, for mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is 4,000 that you need. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's something a lot of channels that either became big quick or already had monetization when YouTube made their new rules. But I just don't think that was a good idea from YouTube to change it. So a lot of people want to get into YouTube because they love what they do, but also for a lot of small content creators, they need to be able to make some money back on, or at least plan to in the future. and that's discouraging to a lot of people when they don't see any views and they can't make money and they're actually at a loss for content. Like I know Leo has been working on his channel for years, and he recently got monetized, and it was I forgot how long it was. Were you monetized before YouTube made their new rules?
Actually, yeah, I was. Oof, this was a while back though. But like, so this is actually my third channel, and this channel was monetized for I think it was only like 2 months, 3 months, and then that new update came out. And then even the past channels I've had, they were monetized as well. And for and I'm always in the middle on this conversation of like people want to be monetized so they have that encouragement, and some people say no because you should meet a requirement so you're not taking the money from everyone else. And me, I can never take one side on this because I can see both. But where I always personally stood was these videos I make are on my own time for free, and I don't get paid for them. Like I'm not giving myself money to do this. So the way I see it is, if I'm fortunate enough to get monetized, I'm like, great. Now it's like, cool. YouTube has finally given me like a "you're good enough" type deal. But I always see it as like, I just want to personally impress myself every time I make something. And if I can get monetized and get paid for it, then it's like, oof, I'm onto something here.
Yeah, like
And
speaking with monetization real quick, I'm just gonna talk about it. Obviously, we've been through a lot of apocalypses on YouTube. I think you can agree to that, right, Spider?
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
So with that, I'm not sure if you felt the effects. I mean, I really haven't, since I really don't make a lot of ad revenue since my channel's small. The ad revenue, I believe, isn't the same as it used to be. A lot smaller now, and a lot of channels.
Let me butt in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been affected by it because I've actually lost gigs because they couldn't afford
Wow.
to pay me anymore.
yeah, that's something that happened kind of on Game Domain. So back in I think it was late January of 2019, we actually got fully demonetized. Like there was no strikes, no warning. We just got one day we were making. It was actually probably the most profitable time in Game Domain's history. And we just got demonetized for quote unquote reused content. And while like we like making content, I have to pay people like each month, and if we're not making any money, I could barely afford to do it for more than a few months. And it was something. It was like it really like decreased how many videos we were making on the channel. I didn't like have to fire anyone or anything because I paid per project, not like a salary. So I took an announcement saying, "Hey, we got demonetized. We'll give you some projects. Next month, hopefully, things will go back to normal." And luckily, I was able to reach out to YouTube on Twitter eventually, like within a month, and they said, "Sorry for the mistake," and we got remonetized again. But something like that was like, Leo, I think you remember this, right? Like that was
Turbulent
a
times.
time of uncertainty. Yeah, like that was really worrying to everyone in the channel. Jason couldn't really write that much at the time because I couldn't afford to pay him that much, because if the channel just did never get monetized again, I'd probably still make videos, but I wouldn't be able to really run the channel the way I've been running it for the past 3 years now, because I'm not a great, I mean, I can edit a little bit. I'm not a great editor. My voiceovers aren't great, and I can write a decent amount, but really my goal on YouTube for the past 3 years has just been to make quality content, have a team of people work on that, so you get the best aspects of every video. So we have people who specialize in voiceovers, editing, and writing scripts.
And you know what, man? You're running it pretty similar to a lot of other people that I know how they run their channel. So you saying that doesn't surprise me at all. Like I said, I've lost gigs this way, meaning I was one of the people that unfortunately they had to let go because they just couldn't really afford to pay X amount of people anymore. And it's not that they couldn't edit, it's just they wanted to give it to me because I obviously do this full time, so it's much easier that way. So yeah, I get it, man. It sucks.
Yeah, like especially with like going back to the whole financial situation, like what Domain said, you got to let some people off with projects because it's just not possible anymore. But I think a lot of YouTubers have gotten smarter now when it comes to running the show here. When it comes to money, a lot of people just don't rely on AdSense money anymore. As you probably know, there's been a lot of merch on YouTube. Jake Paul, PewDiePie, a lot of big players.
Buy that merch.
Buy that merch. You have sponsorship deals now. The most popular one, Raid Shadow Legends, obviously.
Had a good discussion on the podcast yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say this. Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends is everywhere. It probably is a crappy game, but they're honestly funding channels. They're giving in that revenue that was otherwise lost due to the apocalypses beforehand. So, in some ways, they are helping the community.
Yeah, like I think obviously it's gonna be annoying. You have to wait. You have to see 2 ads, 5 seconds each, and it's annoying obviously to see that before a video.
Yeah,
But the
definitely.
reason I don't really mind is because being someone who has a channel who makes money from this, like this is the only way they make money. Like a lot of small channels, like I think I'm making like $1 a month on Patreon. The merch doesn't really sell because we don't have that many subs in the grand scheme of things. So ad revenue is really the only way I can afford to pay people and continue operations. And some videos, like longer videos, I've had to put more ads, and that was a complaint in the Zelda video we talked about before. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
and yeah, like I'll admit, at first I put way too many ads, and then after I saw some comments, I took some out, and we still have to have those ads in because since the video was getting a lot of views, it really helped pay, especially the money that made before the demonetization helped pay for that month.
Yeah, if I could just interject, Alex. Also, like what we're talking about the monetization, it doesn't just affect smaller channels like us or like you, CivilSpider, or Leo, your own personal channel. Even like major YouTubers with millions of subscribers. Like I know somebody who's very adamantly anti YouTube's algorithm and how YouTube runs things is Boogie2988, and he says all the time about how horrible the YouTube's algorithm is, and that how they screw him over all the time and they take money away from him, and how all of and then of course with the new child laws or whatever and stuff that
Yeah.
YouTube is putting in, it just makes it a lot harder for people to use it as a business and to make money and pay people that they have to pay as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people, some YouTubers that when I talk to them and we would discuss finances, they would confide in me and tell me exactly how much they're making, even though, and I kid you not, guys, every time they actually tell me, I literally just say that's it, because like I would assume they're making so much more by like their view counts or their subs, and sometimes they're really not. Like it may seem like, oh wow, 5 million subs, they're making thousands. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's not as much as you think right now.
Yeah, it really. The thing is, you could have 100 million subs and still not make a lot of money because subs don't matter at all for money. Like
Nope,
one of the
they do not.
this is a little off topic in terms of talking about subscribers, but one of the reasons that people always say, "Oh, you have 30K subs. Why don't you get this many views?" It's because a lot of the subs came from the Xbox subs video. I think like probably half the subs in the channel, and subs just go inactively. The channel is over 4 years now, so a lot of people are going to be inactive. Maybe they have an old account that they don't use anymore, but they're still subscribed. And most channels, they don't have. Let's say a channel has 1 million subscribers, they're not going to get 1 million views on each video most of the time.
Yeah.
Nope.
So that's really the best way I can explain why Game Domain doesn't have a lot of views compared to how many subs that we have.
Dude, and I'm right there with you. I got 12K, and to me, when I hit 100 views, that's when I consider myself successful with that video. And I don't expect either way 12K views per video, because I also understand I'm coming from people just subscribing because they know my name from, not because they actually care about the content I make, and that's okay. The way I see it is, I just hope in the future things will pick up, but I got to be patient and just hope that the content's enough that they subscribe for that, not just for earning.
Yeah, like I know what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
I've had
and same with you too, man.
yeah, like something like I've been on some other channels before, and I always like to, if I'm given the opportunity, I like to bring up my channel because I think exposure is a very good way to grow a channel, and that's why I've been on some podcasts before. I've been on some other channels helping out, like really to get the name Game Domain out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a few people because usually they're going to be more loyal than someone who just sees the Xbox video and it's like, this video is pretty good, I'll subscribe. So someone who like sees I'm doing content on other channels that might want to check out my channel if they like the videos, and they'll check them more. Like that's something I've had people mention in the end of videos now is not just subscribe, like the video, but it's had. I'm trying to think of the right way to explain this. Like just saying if you like this video, check out some similar videos. If you like this video about Paper Mario, check out these videos about Paper Mario, because then they're more likely if they stay to the end of the video, which is actually hard to do, and we might get to that later, is you want people to check out relevant videos and subscribe and see that they make content on games you like, not just they make one good video and they subscribe.
Yeah, like it's tough, obviously, running a big channel here on YouTube, especially if you're like Game Domain, a lot of moving pieces here, and you can't really do it all 100% fully, because it's always changing. The game is always changing here on YouTube. They're passing COPA. They might switch copyright laws a couple days later, and it's just really difficult for creators now. It's not the same as It's not the same as it used to be. The golden age, I think, is over for YouTube. Now we're going into a steep decline. Some might disagree. Some might agree.
I completely agree. I just think YouTube is digging their own grave, because Google's obviously a huge company. They have more than enough money to run YouTube, but they're doing so many things that are so anti-creator and like pro, like talk show. Yeah, I wouldn't say pro company, because I'd say a lot of channels are becoming companies. Like Game Domain, I try to run it like a business, since like that's the way it really needs to be with how I operate it. But I also like to make the video seem more personal. But now YouTube is just promoting, like, I've never watched a video by like Trevor Noah or Stephen Colbert. I never watched their content, but it's constantly on my recommended. And they don't need that help, because they're already very famous. They already make tons of money on TV, but yet YouTube still promotes them more than any other creators.
So, Civil, moving on from this YouTube debacle, is there any creator in mind that you admire, you respect a lot, that you want to work with in the future? Like, I don't know, maybe PewDiePie or something along those lines. Like, you got anyone in mind you want to tell the viewers about?
Yeah. So actually, all right. I've never been one to be starstruck, because I always try to remind myself everyone's a person. Don't treat them differently, because I would hate. And I'm not saying this will ever happen, but if someone saw me in the street, they screamed, they fangirled, I'd be like, okay, you need to chill, because that's not my personality. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, it's kind of
You
an
know what I
awkward
mean?
situation in public too.
It really is. Oh yeah. So but no, actually, yeah. Okay. This isn't a secret anymore, because Thomas already mentioned it. But like recently, him and I took out to Canada to work with Linus Tech Tips. We made a video with them.
Wow, awesome, dude.
Really?
Yeah, and I've been watching Linus for like 4 years, and I couldn't help it. I kept my composure, but the entire time I was freaking out, because I'm like, oh my god, that's the set for TechWiki. Oh my god, that's what they're doing. Oh, I remember that video. And it was one of those moments where it made me realize two things. One, like for example, like Linus Tech Tips, they are a machine, and I admire them so much for that, because everything is just on point, even though sometimes they do like drop things. Everything was on point. It was amazing and very inspiring. But the second thing is, they were so down to earth and humble. And when I say that, like when I met Linus, I told him, oh my god, can I get a photo with you? He's like, oh yeah, sure. What do you guys need today? We talk. He's like, okay, well, we have all this gear here. Do what you want. Our set's your set today. And I'm like, wow, it's not that I expected him to be any different, but I very much admired that part of it.
Yeah, can you link that in chat? Like, I actually want to check that out.
Oh, we this is kind of my fault. We're still not done with the video, but I promise you guys, when it's uploaded, I will definitely send you guys a link.
You heard it here first, folks.
So
like,
there's that
like
one.
that.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sorry.
I was,
Go ahead,
yeah, I was feel different, like talking to like big creators compared to small creators, because there's someone who like put a lot of work in. They're probably very busy, and to get them, and to get their attention, like message with them, in some ways, like it's hard to do, because obviously if I send an email to PewDiePie, I'm not going to get a response. And we've had some bigger creators on Game Domain, and it's been like really interesting having them. Like even on DomainCast, in last summer we had Fearsome Fire, who's a YouTuber I've been watching since he had like 5,000 subs. He was smaller in the Game Domain a couple of years, and his channel got like 180k subs, and we had a really good discussion about his channel and about YouTube, and something that's really interesting to get a perspective. These content creators you've watched and are fans of, and to really get to interact with them.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience, Spider, but not as big as like Linus Tech Tips. But my previous domain cast that we did, we had another channel on here. His name is Icon Boy, really nice guy. Go check him out. I was a follower of the Call of Duty community on the Nintendo Wii. Yes, I know, right? Funny, playing Call of Duty on the Wii. But hey, back in the day, I could only choose one console, and I chose Nintendo Wii. and
There you go.
we had a port of Call of Duty, and there was a community behind it. And Iconboy was one of the bigger names of the community. Watched him for years. Really enjoyed his videos. And he's actually coming up with a documentary pretty soon about the Call of Duty Wii community and about everything that happened. So keep an eye out on that. I got to talk to him. I fanboyed a little bit, but overall had a great time with him. He was a very chill dude, and it's just awesome meeting some of those bigger channels that you looked up to.
Oh, it is. And my dream people to meet, and Linus technically wasn't on the list. I just very, very much admired them for so long. But to finalize the answer here, if I could ever just one day just even shake hands with these people, I think my life would be just a little more complete. It would be MKBHD. He was the one that got me more updated on tech when I realized, oh God, I really love technology and keeping up to date with it. So MKBHD would be one. I don't know if you guys know who Swoozy is. If not, it's all good. He's like an animator slash storyteller.
Okay.
But I've been watching him since I was also, I think, 17 or 18, and he's part of the reason why I also started a YouTube channel. So I want to thank him for that. And then the last person I want to meet is definitely, his name is Peter McKinnon. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's another creative on here. He's a photographer primarily, but he's just an all around amazing video film creator, and like he's inspired me and especially Thomas so much that if I could just shake his hand again, like, oh, my life would just be great.
And I think with a lot of these creators, like you think they're, I think you mentioned it before, like you think they're going to be like very serious, and when it comes down to it, they're just normal people, very down to earth, as you said with Linus, and a lot of them like really appreciate, like if they're not like PewDiePie, obviously he's going to get recognized a lot, but if you're a smaller creator, maybe like 1 million subs, which obviously is small, but you may not get recognized that much, that they really appreciate it and makes their day, like having someone recognize them. Like this goes back to a couple of years ago. So someone I know, he went to see Infinity War at the movie theater, and he ran into Jake Baldino. I don't know if any of you guys know who that is.
Oof, no, I don't think I do.
Do you know the channel Game Ranks?
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of it. I haven't seen
so,
anything.
So he's the guy that runs Game Ranks, and he ran into him at the movie theater, and he said, "Are you Jake Baldino?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, "Can I get a picture with you?" And a couple of days later, I saw on the Game Ranks Discord that he brought it up. He was like, "Hey, I'm the guy you met at the movie theater." And he was like, yeah, that made my day, having someone recognize me, wanting to take a picture with me. And I think that's something that a lot of YouTubers, like if someone actually recognized them in public, they're just going to be very chill, going to appreciate it. So I think a lot of people, when they meet a YouTuber, like obviously we've been talking about someone being like being a fan of them and acting differently, but you could pretty much act the same around them if you really got to know them. So that's really just depends like how well you know the YouTuber. If that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, going back to Linus, because he would probably be like my most, aside from Thomas, because he's also well known, but I would definitely, Linus is definitely way more well known. But like even with Linus, like we ate lunch, and I literally ate next to him, and like just the conversation we had was just like, oh yeah, so this game's coming out. Are you guys gonna get it? And Linus is like, yeah, I haven't really played it in a while. And then like it was so simple, where it's like again, why I remind myself like at the end of the day, we're all just people. Just treat people normally the way you would, and honestly, it's gonna go great. Like I don't know, I really hope I can meet Linus again or see Linus again though, because that was a great experience.
Yeah, honestly, sounds like a great guy, and I'm happy for you that you got that experience, that you got to go see him and meet him. I think it's pretty cool.
And also,
I'll go ahead.
a little off topic. So you said, are you living in Canada or the U.S.?
Oh, yeah, this would be fine to share. I actually live in Colorado in the U.S.
Yeah, so like to go up to, I don't know where Linus lives in Canada, but did it take a while to actually get there? And like what was did you go there just for the video, or like what was the story with that?
Oh yeah, so Tom is doing this series where he's interviewing people that are well known or not even well known. Just the fact that like, we want to break down their productivity system, meaning what is it that you go through when you do your work? Meaning what do you use in terms of apps? How do you prepare yourself? What do you do post production? How do you wrap things up? If you have a team, how do you guys stay connected? And we have a whole list of people we're trying to go through. Linus was the first person to respond to us, so we just went up to Canada. We took one day to ourselves to kind of enjoy the scenery because I don't know when I'll be back there again.
True.
And then the second day was purely for work. Third day we came back and we left. And it was a 3-hour drive to come back to Washington, and then from Washington we flew back here. So we basically flew to Washington, drove to where Linus is in Canada, and then drove back.
Wait, so you went from Washington, and where does he live in Canada? Is he like
Oh,
southern
he's in
Canada?
Vancouver.
So like, how long was the drive from DC to Canada?
Well, we were in Seattle, so that from Seattle to Vancouver was 3 hours.
Oh, I thought when you said Washington, I was thinking Washington DC.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so like, so like, I'm not an expert on Canadian geography, but I think from New York to Canada, I think it took about like 7 or 8 hours. But I think that was also
really?
Toronto. It was Toronto, so yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
it wasn't too far from where we were.
Yeah, and also something else, like meeting YouTubers in person, I feel is a lot different than even just interacting with them online. I think most people would agree with that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, even when I met Tom, when I decided to move here, so we met before I did, so we can work together. I still had a little bit of starstruck him just because I was like, wow, I've only ever seen you in videos, and here you are in person, you know. So it is a different feeling, but again, at the end of the day, they're not gonna act, or at least I would hope that not these big creators would act like stubborn or snobby just because they're million subscriber YouTube channels. They're still just people.
Yeah, and then like something like this podcast, like obviously no one here has like 1 million subs or anything. So I mean, maybe some people would be fan struck by meeting some people here, but like even when we had like Fierce Byron or Convoy, like this podcast, it's really just more of a discussion. It's a little bit of an interview because we're asking some questions, but it's really more of a discussion. Let's say like someone like Thomas Frank was on DomainCast, and let's say I was a really big fan of him before. I feel like at first I'd probably like be more like I don't know what the right word is, like probably not ask as many questions, like be more starstruck.
Like, yeah,
and then
yeah.
But as it goes on, just like be more relaxed and just learn more about the creator and like get to talk to them more personally.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes. Cause like even honestly, guys, even if I had like you guys have more subs than me, so technically speaking, I'm not even at your level. You know what I mean? Like people would see it that way. But to me, like I didn't know you guys, and then when I got the message editing and I looked at your channel, I think I even said this from the beginning. It's like, hey, I can't really take what you guys are offering me, but I think in the future I do want to make a video because I actually like what you guys are doing. And that's the thing. It's like it's not I'm better than you thing. It's just having respect for each other, and if you actually like what you guys do, like why not link up? Like it's always a good thing to make friends.
Yeah, like I've interacted with a lot of people. Some of whom like are still on the Discord, even though they don't really work for me anymore. But like just connections that I've made over the past few years, and even some people who I never ended up like you, since you never worked for me, but there was the post, and since we've been able to have these discussions for the past, like we've talked about making the DomainCast for a few months, like there's a lot of people, interesting people I've met, like even just from either I didn't work for them or not, something didn't really work out in terms of like a collab or anything. It's really interesting to get to meet a lot of these people.
Yeah, it is. And like even though again it's been great talking to you guys, like I never would have I would have never known you guys even more personally if it wasn't for right now us talking. So it's very good to make connections like that.
Yeah.
And I thank you guys too. Thank you guys for inviting me on. Like, this is the first time anyone's ever asked me to be on their podcast, so I was kind of like, oh, that's a very nice feeling. Like you guys either respect me enough or actually care enough to have me on. Like I don't know.
No problem, man. We're happy to have you on the DomainCast.
Yeah, like on DomainCast, we just like to have any guests. Like we've had guests. I'm trying to think who the smallest guest we've had on the channel is, but like really on DomainCast, we just like to have guests who we think are just going to have interesting stories, be able to talk for a while about their experiences, whether with YouTube, game making, which we're actually going to do some DomainCast soon with indie devs. And that's really our goal. It's not how many subs the channel has. Obviously, if someone with 1 million subs messaged me and was like, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast, I'd most likely accept them. But really all it's about is how interesting of a discussion can they bring the podcast.
Right. And you guys definitely know I'm always up for that.
And I think we've had a pretty interesting discussion. Like I know I've only been here for like 40 minutes or so, but it's been going on for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So clearly we've had some interesting things to discuss.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to give a thanks once again. We're wrapping it up. If you haven't noticed, everyone, wrapping it up now for the domain cast. I want to say a special thank you to CivilSpider for coming on. Thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we had a good time with you.
And also
No,
one last
thanks for
thing.
having me on.
One last thing, Spider. So where could people find you on social media?
Oh, sure. Well, if you go to CivilSpider on YouTube, type it in the search bar, I'll be the first thing you see. Even on Google, which is surprising, but I'm kind of proud of that. And then if you want to find me on like Twitter, it's CivilSpider, but Spider ends with 2 R's, so SPIDERR. And that'll be pretty much it. I do have an Instagram and a Snapchat, but I'm trying to keep those a little more private just so I have some kind of privacy.
All right, cool. At, if you have any social media you want to plug, now would be the time.
Just at Real AT Swag and CivilSpider. I want to thank you for your time and your conversation. Been a great DomainCast, episode number 14. Jason, Alex, you guys have any last words?
No, I think that's good. Just thank you to CivilSpider for pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you guys again for having me. It's been a pleasure. And if you guys ever want to talk again, we can try to set it up.
Like one I know took a while because there was a lot of issues, but hopefully, like if we need another guest, like I'll be sure to reach out to you, and hopefully we can schedule it within a couple weeks of then.
Oh, I know. Yeah, a lot of that was my fault because when I say we've been busy, like I mean it. Like there's even sometimes like 13-hour days that we do because we want to get some stuff done. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think it was just from all sides involved why this took so long, but I mean it was worth it. We've had a great discussion for like an hour 40 minutes, and I think as long as we don't have like a ton of guests coming on soon, we'd love to have you on another DomainCast sometime this year.
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah. So thank you guys again. I really do appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
And for the people watching, if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Check out CivilSpider's channel and check out our other podcasts and our other videos if you're not subscribed. And if you like the videos, be sure to subscribe and join our Discord. Thank you for watching.